Get ready for the time of your life. Hi, I'm Derek Stevens, owner and chief executive officer of Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas' ultimate entertainment hotspot. Taking amazing views at Legacy Club, our rooftop lounge. Party all year long at Stadium Swim featuring the massive 143-foot screen. Indulge in 12 incredible restaurants and bars. Or my favorite, spend the day at the world's largest sportsbook. Don't wait. Book your unforgettable experience today at circalasvegas.com.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/Pandora and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/Pandora.
This is Portland's most listened to sports station, 750 The Game, KXTG Portland, your play-by-play home of the Portland Timbers.
Play Central will shoot from distance, and Rodriguez! 3 goals in 5 minutes for the Timbers. It is all Portland.
This is the part of being a professional footballer, sportsman, where you really look forward to, because it's now time to play.
Parried away, hit back across by Mora, down to Moreno! Oh my! The Timbers have their second!
To see the supporters, to see the stadium, to witness what is probably the best atmosphere in the MLS.
Timbers have created a turnover again. Here's Mora, shoots, and scores! Felipe Mora has doubled the Timbers lead, and it's all Portland in the first half.
Timbers Radio is brought to you by Providence Sports Medicine. We make you better by any measure. And by Ford, your local Northwest Ford dealer. buyfordnow.com.
And the Timbers come to Seattle and get a result and will lift the Cascadia Cup.
Now, with Aaron Heinzen, here's Fletcher Johnson.
Portland returned to their winning ways last weekend against New England, keeping pace with the top teams in the West. Today, the Timbers back on the road, visiting America's Heartland for a matchup with a club they are heavily favored against. It's match day 21 for Phil Neville and company, who visit St. Louis City SC for their second and final meeting of the 2025 regular season on Sunday Night Soccer. Good afternoon and welcome to 750 The Game for Timbers Soccer. Alongside my partner, Aaron Heinzen, I'm Fletcher Johnson. Aaron, last Saturday, it was Portland 2, New England 1. David DaCosta with the game-winning goal in the 72nd minute and an important home result after a disappointing road performance against Toronto to get the job done against their former manager, Caleb Porter. And as I mentioned, pick up the 3 points in their 9th win of the season.
Yeah, it was important to get that momentum back after a tough game against Toronto, and they'll need to do it again today. St. Louis City struggling right now, almost near the very bottom. They're handing in a lot of goals right now in the last few games. They have increased their scoring, but still this is an opportunity for the Portland Timbers today to get a big 3 points on the road.
Just over a month ago, these two squared off in Portland. It was a 2-1 victory for the Timbers. It was a much different looking St. Louis team in the sense that they were a club that had not given up a ton of goals early on in the season, but had hardly scored any as well. Now you look over their last 6 matches, they've scored 11 goals. Unfortunately, they've given up a lot more, which has led to more losses and more struggles, but maybe in a sense more entertaining soccer for the City SC fans. So it's a much different looking team in the way they play now than they did just over a month ago.
Yeah, interim head coach David Critchley's opened things up for them. He wants to get both outside backs forward. João Klaus has certainly benefited from it, and he's got 6 goals in the last 6 matches. That's been huge. In fact, he scored a hat trick right after the Portland Timbers game against the LA Galaxy. But for me, again, the Timbers on the road need to start really positively, be solid back there. We saw João Klaus, those first 20 minutes in that game in Portland, miss 2 really big chances. Portland survived that. They're able to come back, eventually get the winner in the end. But St. Louis City, this team is positive. They get forward. Timbers will have to be ready for their attack tonight, especially at home.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Is they got through the first half. The Timbers did against St. Louis scoreless. St. Louis gets that opening goal in the 50th minute. Timbers were able to answer back 5 minutes later thanks to some individual brilliance from Anthony, and then Davida Shala assisted by Moreno in second half stoppage time to get the win against St. Louis. But maybe the most important thing against this St. Louis team, you can do one thing over the course of the last year plus and almost guarantee yourself a victory, and that is scoring first against St. Louis. St. Louis have lost 19 straight when conceding the first goal. dating back to their last time that they secured a point, April 20th of 2024 against Sporting Kansas City, when they conceded first and ended up with a point in a 3-3 draw. Portland goes on the road, gets an early goal. You got to believe there's a lot of confidence heading Portland's way.
Yeah, and that's kind of a statement to where the St. Louis City side are. Again, trying to find the balance. Younger guys coming in. David Critchley was a St. Louis City 2 manager before he got this promotion. So he's brought some guys up, giving people some chances. But again, working it out of the back, just mistakes in the back line. They have some injuries as well there and in the midfield. Timbers got to take advantage of those opportunities that are going to come their way, because if they're able to just sustain the first 20, 25 minutes, they absolutely can do some damage here today, particularly in the first half.
2-1-2 the Timbers are in the previous meetings with St. Louis City. Each team won on the road in 2023. Of course, the Timbers won earlier this season on June 8th at Providence Park. Timbers 1-0-1 all-time at St. Louis. They look to remain unbeaten at Energizer Park, as we'll bring you the McDonald's starting lineups and opening kickoff from Energizer Park in St. Louis, Missouri on Sunday Night Soccer after this.
Thumbtack presents Project Paralysis. I was cornered. Sweat gathered above my furrowed brow, and my mind was racing. I wondered who would be left standing when the droplets fell, me or the clogged sink. Drain cleaner and pipe snake clenched in my weary fist, I stepped toward the sink and then... Wait, why am I stressing? I have Thumbtack. I can easily search for a top-rated plumber in the valley, read reviews, and compare prices, all on the app. Thumbtack knows homes. Download the app today.
Welcome to What's Next. For your community, for your career, and for the healthcare field. At Carrington College, we're training the next generation of allied healthcare professionals, bringing you the hands-on training to be ready for a career in healthcare. We're building on a proven legacy of career training, going back over half a century. So if you're ready to train for your career and make a difference in your community, we're ready for you. For information about student outcomes, visit carrington.edu/SCI.
Get ready for the time of your life. Hi, I'm Derek Stevens, owner and chief executive officer of Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's ultimate entertainment hotspot. Taking amazing views at Legacy Club, our rooftop lounge. Party all year long at Stadium Swim, featuring the massive 143-foot screen. Indulge in 12 incredible restaurants and bars, or my favorite, spend the day at the world's largest sportsbook. Don't wait. Book your unforgettable experience today at circalasvegas.com.
Give me those sauces, grab the chicken strips, let's dunk them in there. There's nothing like it. Hey, I'm Joey. And I'm Josh. And we're team members at our local Chick-fil-A. And a little thing you'll love about the Chick-fil-A chicken strips is dipping them in our sauces. My sauce is the barbecue sauce. If you wanted to add sweet, tangy flavors, there's nothing like it. I love the garden herb ranch sauce, but if you want a little bit more kick in the spicy side, you can mix it with buffalo sauce. Dipping them in our sauces, it is perfection.
It's the summer of Chick-fil-A chicken strips and sauces. Order now on the Chick-fil-A app. Team members paid for their testimonials.
Yoda, let's go places, and let's go ahead and look at the starting lineups from St. Louis, Missouri, for starting with the Portland Timbers under second-year manager Phil Neville. Timbers come into tonight 9-5-6 on 30 points, fourth place in the West coming into this weekend. And one change to the lineup that beat New England 2-1 last week. It's kind of a 3-4-2-1 in the attack, 5-4-1 defensively, in front of goalkeeper Maxime Crépeau, who's making his third appearance all-time against St. Louis. The back five, if you will, Jimmer Forey is the change that returns to the starting lineup after missing last week due to yellow card accumulation. Kamal Miller, Finn Sermon making his 20th Major League Soccer appearance, and Dario Zuperch are your three center backs, and Juan David Mosquera gets the start out on the right at that right wing back spot. In the midfield, David DaCosta will get the start out on the left, leading the team with 8 assists so far this season. The MLS All-Star hoping to add to that tally tonight. David Ashala and João Ortiz once again partnering in the center, midfield defense, if you will, and then Santi Moreno out on the right. Next assist in his MLS career makes him one of 3 in Timbers history with 40 or more, joining Diego Valeri and Sebastian Blanco. And getting the start up top tonight is Kevin Kelsey, who will have a size and physicality advantage against the 2 center backs he'll be going up with. Aaron, your thoughts on the Timbers 11 this evening?
Well, yeah, Phil Neville liked what he saw last week against New England, and I'm looking at David DaCosta and Santi Moreno, those guys picking that spot, those little gaps in between the midfield and the back line. They did a lot of damage against the New England Revolution, particularly in that first goal against Ian Smith. I think they can do the same thing again tonight.
Meanwhile, for St. Louis City, under interim manager David Critchley, it was his second match in charge when the Timbers and St. Louis squared off back on June 8th. He is 1-4-1 in his MLS tenure, so looking for his second win. City SC 3-12-6 on 14 points. 14th place in the West coming into the weekend. 4 losses in their last 5 matches. 1 change to the side that lost to Salt Lake 3-2 last weekend. And it will be Roman Berkey, who's really growing into a leadership role, getting the start in net once again, allowing just under 2 goals per game in 4 appearances all time against Portland. He's faced 336 shots this year, which leads MLS. It's a 4-3-3, kind of a 4-2-3-1 at times as well in front of Berkey. Left to right along the back line, it will be Thomas Totland, Jake Girdwood-Reich, Joshua Yarrow, and Hasiel Orozco will get the start out on the right. Just his second match with the first team of St. Louis. He did play with RSL back in 2022, making 4 appearances, but a relatively young player there at the age of 21 at that right back spot. The 2 in the holding midfield will be Conrad Valum and Thomas Ustrak, who will hold down that defensive midfield. In the attack, Celio Antonio Pompeo will get the start out on the left, hoping to bring a little bit of speed to this St. Louis team. Cedric Teukert will get the start centrally, making his 30th Major League Soccer appearance. Marcel Hartel is the only player on this team who's started and appeared in every single match so far this season, making his 22nd appearance. And then up top, João Klaus will get the start, leading the team in goals, 7 goals so far this season, and hoping to have an impact on this one after hat trick a couple matches ago. Aaron, your thoughts on David Critchley's starting 11?
Yeah, you said it, Fletcher. João Klaus, he's refound his scoring form and 6 goals in the last 6 matches, including that hat trick that you just mentioned. A lot of that supply, though, is coming from Marcel Hartel. He's going to be the guy for St. Louis. He picks his spots in the midfield, goes out wide. That's who the Timbers are going to have to watch today, and that's who's been bringing it for St. Louis in the last few games, at least going forward. Mentioned, we'll talk more about their back line as well. A lot of injuries back there that we can get into as the game gets along, but should be a good one today for both Portland and St. Louis City.
Refereeing crew at Energizer Park, our center referee, Ricardo Montero Araya. Our VAR for the evening is Jorge Gonzalez. He's assisted by Fabio Tovar. Our assistant referees, Logan Brown on the bench side, Jeffrey Schwartzel on the far side, and our 4th official today is Rubiel Vasquez. Timbers wearing their second choice Nature Unites Us kits here this afternoon. Meanwhile, St. Louis wearing their all red City SC kits. As fans continue to fill in the stands, St. Louis will go left to right across your radio dial here in the first half. Ricardo Montero Araya blows his whistle. We're underway from Energizer Park on Sunday Night Soccer between the Portland Timbers and St. Louis City SC. Timbers, as I mentioned, those Nature Unites Us tops and green shorts, and then the cream socks that go along with it on what is a very warm night in St. Louis. I shouldn't say too warm, 76 degrees. It's more the humidity that is playing a bigger role. About 88% humidity. Was raining pretty heavily before this match, so something to keep an eye on as the ball might be skipping off the turf a bit. You see it there as David DaCosta tried to bring down a ball with his right foot. It just skipped all the way across the end line for a St. Louis goal kick here in the early stages of this one. Still in the first minute as the Timbers still without Anthony, still without Ariel Lassiter, hoping to have him back on Wednesday. Jonathan Rodriguez on the season-ending injury list, so he will not be available to play in any matches coming up for the remainder of the season, meaning that the Timbers likely be looking to sign someone in the attack. As nearly a bad turnover here by Valum, but Berkey comes off his line to play it out wide to Pompeu.
And just the first example right there, Fletcher, you can see Conrad Valum and Thomas Ostrak playing so high. There's a huge amount of space between them and the center backs. David Critchley asking a lot of his center backs. They're not the starting center backs. And Josh Yarrow on the left and Jacob Girdwood-Reich, on the right. It's typically Kessler. He's been out for a while, Henry Kessler. Timo Baumgartel is out as well. Those guys have had a lot of responsibility in there. There's been a couple of turnovers that have punished St. Louis City, so just keep an eye on both David DaCosta, Santi Moreno, and Kevin Kelsey in that space when they're working the play out.
Nice work by the St. Louis attacker on the far touchline to work past Dario Zuparic, who commits the foul. That was Pompeu who forced Zuparic into the foul. Dario Zuparic playing much more of a role as of late in this 3 center back formation for Phil Neville and company after not playing too much here early in the year. So the restart will come from the far touchline about 5 yards in. Marcel Hartel will be the player to strike. It had a hat trick of assists a few matches ago against the Timbers. a couple seasons ago. He will serve this ball in with his right foot. 6 players in and around the box for St. Louis. Service comes in, header won easily by Kelsey, cleared away by Moreno out towards midfield where Roman Berkey has it in the center circle and will now send it back across midfield towards the near touchline. Forey wins the header out for a St. Louis throw in the 3rd minute.
We talk about that service of Roman Berkey. Loves to play way outside of his box. Really good at service, able to chip out. Ball's into the far post. Timbers going to have to be switched on for all those kinds of moments today. Grass is wet out there, can skip past you. Certainly going to be a challenge for both back lines in this one.
Kelsey is fouled by Girdwood Reich, it appears. Oostrak's shocked, actually had tried to play the ball quickly, thinking it was going to be a handball on Kelsey. Really didn't see too much in that would have led to a foul being called in favor of Portland, but the Timbers, of course, will take it. Quickly taken by Miller, looked to try and pick out DaCosta, who couldn't control it. St. Louis back on the ball here in the early going. Chipped over the top, looking for Toykert, gets on it, tries to chip Crépeau, who was well off his line, ends up wide the whole way. But a little early warning sign for the Timbers getting caught upfield there.
Yeah, just some miscommunication. It looked like Kamal Miller had pushed up into the midfield to cut something off. Toykert immediately runs into that space in behind. Finn Sermon doesn't pick him up either, and Max Crépeau's off his line. Toykert just couldn't put that on frame.
So the 5th minute already. St. Louis looking lively in the attack, which, as we mentioned, has been more of the theme lately for them. Getting bodies into the attack, creating goal-scoring opportunities. It's been more of a defensive issue, slowing other teams down. But as of now, about 67% of the possession here in the early going for the home side. And already with a shot.
And again, a lot of those issues for St. Louis City coming when they have possession, just turning it over cheaply in dangerous areas and getting punished for it.
We mentioned the bodies out for St. Louis. So many defenders, Timo Baumgartel, Chris Durkin, Henry Kessler, Nielsen and Morales also out in this one. Kind of contrasting for the Timbers and St. Louis. Bunch of defenders out for St. Louis, bunch of attackers out for the Timbers.
Man, it's not a surprise for St. Louis City. That is exactly where they're having issues, right in front of that back line, going into the defensive midfield area. It's that soft spot for the team where they've had just some miscommunications. It really hasn't been anything other than individual mistakes or just moments of turnovers that have really punished them. But talking about the Timbers today, if there isn't pressure on anybody on that back line, that back three of Portland Timbers is going to have to be aware of balls over the top with runs from Pompeu, Jacques Klaus, Marcel Hartl.
Berkey, pressured by Kelsey, gets the ball out, and now it's Totland behind the Timbers defense. Here's Totland. He's in on goal, drives all the way in, and a save made. Not sure if it was Zuperich sliding down or Crépeau who saved it. I think it was Zuperich who slid in and prevented that from being a goal. Way too easy for St. Louis there. And then player goes down in the box, no whistle blown. Zuperich will clear it out. And it'll be settled by Moreno. Moreno chips over the top, but Oostrak reads it well, heads it back to Orozco. Orozco with a heavy touch loses out. Now Mosquera has it into the center for Kelsey. Kelsey trying to work away from Girdwood. Right, does well. Here's Kelsey. Kelsey dribbling at the defense, plays it out wide for Moreno. Moreno can play it across. He still hasn't yet. Now does, and it's straight to Berkey. End-to-end stuff here in the last minute and a half from these two. Great goal-scoring opportunity for St. Louis. And now a turnover here from Finn Sermon. Sermon trying to track back. Oostrak plays it across. Klaus was not able to get there. Forey then chops it back. Kind of an odd maneuver. Klaus picks it up. Here's Klaus with it. Klaus shoots. Doesn't have it up on it, and Crépeau collects.
Well, there's about 15 things I was going to talk about there. Let's start with this first one. Ball over the top. Again, it's a miscommunication from the Timbers. Thomas Totland, the right back, is in. It's Max Crépeau that gets a hand to it. Again, Jimmer Forey this time, the wingback is tracking him. Zuprich slides in. But that miscommunication coming between Finn Sermon, Jimmer Forey, and Kamal Miller. And at the other end, it looked as though Moreno could have played that a little bit earlier to find Mosquera or Kevin Kelsey. Great build-up, though, from the Timbers. But right now, they have to sort themselves out a little bit at the back. Just some marking issues. And the center back's going forward. Somebody's running in behind, and no one's picking up that run right now for Portland.
Wonder if that's something that St. Louis saw on film last week in the Timbers match against New England, and they're exposing it here early. Timbers lucky they haven't made them pay so far, as Totland was in on goal. If not for the right arm of Maxime Crépeau. Here's Toykert playing it down the line. Klaus will bring it down after the cross came in from Hartel. Klaus still with the top of the half circle. Decides to hit a half shot. It's blocked, headed away by Zubrich, only as far as Orozco, 30 yards from goal. Now back out wide for Cilio Pompeu. Pompeu defended by Mosquera, forced to go back to Vollum. Vollum shoots from distance on the ground, wide of the net the whole way, and everyone will have an opportunity to take their breath in the 9th minute of this still scoreless match. Do you know your Timbers trivia? Now through November 1st, put your knowledge to the test for a chance to roll away with a free set of tires, courtesy of Discount Tire. Enter at timbers.com/discount tire.
In this last St. Louis City buildup, you could see Cedric Toykert, who's playing underneath João Klaus. He's sliding over on that left side of the Portland Timbers. So in front of Kamal Miller, it's Toykert, Marcel Hartel, and Thomas Totland going forward. So they're certainly targeting one section of the Timbers as in the buildup, trying to get an overload on that one side. Giving Portland a couple issues here early on.
Timbers are going to have to weather. It's one of these matches in which it feels like they're going to have to weather the storm for the first 15 or 20 minutes because St. Louis has come out very sharp in the early going. Hear their fans chanting in the background. Despite the struggles, still a ton of support for the City SC team. Just one win in their last 17 matches.
And Phil Neville talked about it in his press conference that kind of getting to that point, it's now or never here for St. Louis City. They've got to go for it.
Pull in, looking for Hartel. Hartel tried to nifty little move, did not come off. Here come the Timbers the other direction. Moreno, further forward to DaCosta, shaded to the near side of the field. DaCosta dribbling forward. No real numbers for Portland. Now back to Moreno. Moreno, big dribble. Tries to play it back across to DaCosta. Nice idea. Read well, though, by Girdwood Wright. Lewis connecting passes. Can't do anything with that, though, as Toykert loses it. Slipped down, couldn't control it to get it to Klaus, and Portland take it back in the 11th minute. As there have been a couple good opportunities for both sides thus far. 3 shots for St. Louis. None yet officially for the Timbers, but got the ball deep into the St. Louis defensive third and played it across directly to Berkey. Now here's João Ortiz, one of the bright spots from last Saturday's match. Finds Kelsey, now corner of the 18 to Jimmer Forey. Forey stands on it, will play it across, picks out Ortiz. Ortiz lays it off for Ashala. One touch out wide, far side to Moreno. Moreno will shoot from distance. It's blocked by Orozco. Orozco shielding Moreno. And then Moreno commits the foul on the 21-year-old Mexican. And it will be a restart for City SC.
Well, Moreno a couple times now picking up the ball in the build-up, the middle of the field for the Portland Timbers. There is a lot of space out there in that midfield. A couple of easy passes for Portland. St. Louis City will want to try and tighten things up. If you allow the Timbers this much space to get their head up and try and create things, they're going to punish you at some point. That said, St. Louis City got to like this high line of the Timbers right now, pushed way up, almost to the top into the center circle. You know there'll be space in behind there if they can pick someone out. And look how low João Klaus is right now, way down there.
Now playing right at midfield.
Yeah.
All over the top, looking for Totland. Forey reads it well, plays it to Crépeau. Crépeau inside his 6. Some time. It's a chip up over the top, pick out Mosquera. Mosquera does not win the header. Zubrich wins the second ball, though. Kelsey tries to take it away from Girdwood Wright, who does well. Defensive midfielder playing center back gets it to Vollum. Now forward for Hartel.
Martell trying to play through the Timbers lines. Gets it to Toykert. Toykert gets it caught up. And then Zubrich shields out for what should be a Timbers goal kick. And it is in the 13th minute. At Providence, you're part of a commitment to excellence as the best place to get care and the best place to provide care. Welcome to being part of creating health for a better world. You belong at Providence.
St. Louis City trying something a little different here. Thomas Totland, the right back, playing way high like an extra winger. And João Klaus coming deep underneath, trying to play a little bit of playmaker at the moment, getting on the ball. And he looks to pick out Marcel Hartl, who pushes up, and Toykert as well. That's difficult, though. It doesn't allow the center backs to get anywhere near João Klaus. Allows the likes of Hartl and Toykert to make different runs, try and pull that back three of Portland apart.
It's looked good for St. Louis. Let's see if the Timbers can make the adjustment. Here's Ustrak. Ustrak picks out Toykert. Toykert, almost too heavy of a pass. Tottenham collects on the near touchline. Back to Toykert. Toykert has some time. Dribbles in corner of the box. Leaves it for Ustrak. Ustrak lets it roll across him. Moreno gets to the first one. Ustrak takes it away, though. And St. Louis keep the pressure high. Here's Totland, a chance to serve in from out wide. He'll hit it with his right foot, looking back post. It's cleared away by Mosquera, high up into the air. Moreno tries to win the second header. He's pushed off of it. Girdwood Reich plays it back out wide to Totland, who's in an offside position as that ball was played to him. And it will be a restart coming for the Timbers as we approach the quarter-hour mark at Energizer Park.
St. Louis City just on the front foot. Timbers will have to soak up this pressure on the road. Wait for their moments. Get through the first 25 minutes and perhaps start finding some opportunities, but they're just going to have to keep with their runners, keep with the communication, not get pulled apart and have runs in behind. That was a real concern in those first few minutes, but it seems to have settled down a little bit now for Portland.
Crépeau's restart, long over midfield. St. Louis win the first header and then pick up the second ball. A lot of 50-50 wins and second ball wins for St. Louis thus far through the first quarter hour. Re-dribbling by Pompeu to get through a couple Timbers defenders, then runs over Zubrich and takes the ball back. Timbers surprised they didn't get a whistle there. Now here's Klaus. Klaus poked back over the top by Toykert. Zubrich chips away. Now Toykert back on it. Ball ends up being played back towards the Timbers goal. Crépeau was running it down. Is it going to be a corner kick or a goal kick? That is yet to be determined here as we look at Pompeu getting by a couple of Timbers players at midfield.
And Dario Zubrich stepping in there. Walks off the ball and gets clattered a little bit by Pompeu. He wanted a foul, but no call. Looks like the Timbers are going to get the goal kick call here.
So it is a goal kick as we're at the quarter hour mark at Energizer Park. Still scoreless between the Portland Timbers and St. Louis City SC's second meeting of the season between these two teams. As collision of bodies on that long restart from Crépeau led to what I believe was a foul against Portland and a St. Louis restart coming. As Fletcher Johnson and Aaron Heinsohn here with you on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in Portland, Oregon, and a nice but humid afternoon turning into an evening in St. Louis Central Time, so a couple hours ahead of us, 6:30 local time in St. Louis for this one. As St. Louis looking for their fourth win of the season and their second win under interim manager David Critchley, who took over at the end of May. Timbers, meanwhile, looking for their fourth win in the last 6 matches and fifth result in the last 6 matches if they can pick up at least a point here on the road. On ball over the top once again, trying to pick out Toykert. Kamal Miller gets there first. Keeps it in play, pokes it away from Toykert. Very nice work by the Canadian international, Kamal Miller there. Get it out to João Ortiz, who has it poked away by Pompeu. And here's Ustrak, 35 yards from goal. Tries to play it in for Hartel. Read well by David Ashala. And Ortiz this time gets the pass right out wide, far side to Mosquera. He'll quickly play Moreno on the midfield stripe. Moreno turns around, picks up his head. Will try and float a ball looking for Kelsey. Too much on it. Great idea, though, from Santiago Moreno to try and find Kevin Kelsey, who was something you wanted to see. You mentioned in the pregame, Aaron, Kevin Kelsey running in behind the St. Louis defense.
Yeah, it's perfectly timed as well. Just a little bit too much on the pass by Moreno, but that's what the Timbers need. Kevin Kelsey looking to stretch that back line, showing an interest to get in, and that And then gives the center backs for St. Louis City something to think about. You won't want to get as tight next time. Certainly with that space in the midfield as well for Portland. Moreno a couple of times now able to get his head up and look in multiple directions.
Pompeu in an offside position as that ball was played forward to him. So restart for the Timbers, and they seem to have settled down a little bit here over the last couple minutes, especially for City SC, who haven't quite looked as sharp as they did in the very early stages of the match. Switch from the right foot of Forey, picks out Zuparic. It is defensive third. Now up the far touchline for Mosquera. Further forward into the attacking half for Moreno. Moreno tracked by the St. Louis defense. Nice find from DaCosta. DaCosta top of the half circle will shoot. And it's a goal for the Timbers. David DaCosta has done it again. 19th minute, Portland on top 1-0.
Well, this comes against the run of play almost 20 minutes into this, and it's David DaCosta just picking out a space in front of the back line. And how about this finish? Take another look at it here. Santi Moreno just dribbles inside. David DaCosta, all kinds of space. No one picks him up. Thomas Ostrak as well, the right side midfielder, defensive midfielder for St. Louis City. Doesn't see him running off the shoulder. He's not even running to get back. How about that effort, though, from David DaCosta? Keeps that one burning along the ground. Just picks out the side netting in the far post. A great finish from him. And Phil Neville talked about what they wanted from him in this stretch of play with the injuries that the Timbers have going forward, and he has responded in the last two games.
Second goal in 2 matches for David DaCosta, his 4th of the season. Maybe what shouldn't be lost there in that goal as well. You certainly can't see it on the radio, but Kevin Kelsey made a diagonal run in front of David DaCosta that you have to imagine had Roman Berkey at least thinking that he might play Kelsey, instead slotted it by Berkey's left post or through his left post and ended up in the back of the net for Portland, who now have a 1-0 lead despite St. Louis having the better of the play thus far at Energizer Park.
Kevin Kelsey's looked lively the first 20 minutes, running behind, a couple times showing for the ball. Almost had the Timbers' best build-up prior to that goal. But you do look at St. Louis City and the defensive portion of that. Santi Moreno just going inside. No one picks him up. Thomas Ostrak, the holding midfielder, sitting in front of the center backs, doesn't even know. No one tells him or he doesn't look. David DaCosta in all kinds of space behind him. But you still got to pull out a finish, and he absolutely places it perfectly.
And we mentioned it in the pregame show. One of the ways to potentially beat the St. Louis team, it's been this way ever since April of last year. If you score on them first, they have lost 19 straight matches. Meanwhile, the Timbers unbeaten this year when they score first. 7 wins, no losses, and 3 draws. We'll see if those numbers hold up here again today. Waiting to also see if Santiago Moreno will get an assist on the David DaCosta goal. If he does, he joins Sebastian Blanco and Diego Valera as the only players in Timbers MLS history to record more than 40 or more assists in his Timbers career. Probably not. 4 touches there from DaCosta. Probably shouldn't see an assist for Moreno there, but we've seen crazier things.
Absolutely. In the end, great finish from David DaCosta. Now for the Portland Timbers, can they keep this momentum going? It's been a long time since they've really taken off against another side. You have to go back to late April against the LA Galaxy when they scored something like 4 goals. In fact, I think it was 4 goals. The concern there for St. Louis City will be how easy the Timbers got in behind and put that one away. I don't imagine there's plenty more goals where that came from for Portland today.
Line-breaking pass, trying to pick out João Klaus. It's poked away by Ashala into space for DaCosta. DaCosta running across midfield with the ball at his feet. Totland trying to track him. DaCosta will allow Forey to come on the overlapping run. Instead of using him, we'll play it back central for Ashala. Ashala, plenty of space around him, 40 yards from goal. Has time to pick up his head, figure out what he wants to do. He'll go out wide for Forey. Forey has DaCosta in front of him at the corner of the 18. Forey will just lay it off. for Kamal Miller. Miller feeds it in to DeCosta, goes straight back to Kamal Miller in front of Timbers manager Phil Neville. Portland growing into this match. You certainly got to believe that that goal will help them grow even more and put a little bit of confidence in their step and a little bit of doubt in the step of St. Louis despite their bright start.
It's been one of the interesting things about the Timbers this year is, yeah, they can beat you on the transition, but we've also seen plenty of matches so far this season where they can dictate play, move the ball around, shift the defense, and then end up with a fantastic goal. Case in point would be that one, the first one they scored against New England last week. This side really starting to figure out multiple ways to get on the score sheet.
Moreno's going to earn a foul on Girdwood Reich, who had come off his back line and just ran straight into, and make it Vollum actually, who was the player who basically just stuck his elbow into the face of Santi Moreno. Honestly, had he just body checked him, he's probably okay, but that arm came up into the face of Moreno and forced Ricardo Montero Araya to blow his whistle. Meaning, this will be a chance to either serve a ball into the box, might be too far away to shoot on target. We'll see, though, as appears to be Moreno standing over it. Yes, indeed it is. So Berkey getting his wall organized. 3-man wall for City SC as we're about set to cross into the 25th minute. Should be a ball served in. It is indeed looking back post. Klaus wins the header, but out for corner kick number 1 of the afternoon for Portland. Big moment here. Can the Timbers double their lead about 5 minutes after opening the scoring to take the lead 1-0? Really like to see Dario Zupric, Finn Sermon, Kamal Miller get on the end of one of these. One thing we do know, though, there's got to be careful in the counterattack with the big bodies forward. Here's Moreno's right-footed in-swinger coming from the near flag. Goes back post, headed up in the air by St. Louis towards a penalty spot, out by João Klaus. Collected by db5a268ef214, running back towards his own goal. Square pass near side to DeCosta and back to Ashala. So the Timbers managed that well after St. Louis was able to clear their lines. Here's Moreno, tries to go down the line, blocked by Totland. Now he picks out Ashala. Ashala will play it down the line for DeCosta, but he wasn't making that run and ends up in just a goal kick for St. Louis in the 26th minute with the Timbers leading 1-0. bec0bae9 wants to fly you and a friend to Houston. Join Timber Joey to cheer on the Timbers in Houston, Texas. Prize includes round-trip airfare and a 3-day, 2-night stay. Enter to win the 2025 trip to Houston with Timber Joey sweepstakes at timbershoustonsweeps.causeastir.com. Restrictions apply. Must be 21 or older to enter. See terms for details.
Now for St. Louis City, where are they going to find some kind of reaction here? Timbers seem to have settled in now defensively, dealing a little bit with the overload that St. Louis City were really giving the Timbers a hard time with the first 5 minutes or so. This is where St. Louis City have gotten themselves into some problems. Not a lot of movement up top, players getting stuck on the ball.
Timbers took the ball back before he gave it away. Just a mishit pass, was looking for Ashala, instead found Ustrak. Now here's Vollum. Vollum, edge of the center circle in the attacking half. Out wide, far side for Orozco. Orozco lays it off for Pompeu. Pompeu trying to work his way around Moreno. Lays it back to Vollum, who lays it off once again for Orozco. He'll go central for Ustrak, 40 yards from goal. Ustrak, Toykert, Hartel. Hartel poked away by Ashala. Great defensive work there by db5a268ef214. Timbers, though, under a little bit of pressure, just punt it long across midfield where Joshua Yarrow collects. Another wave of attack coming here for St. Louis, trailing 1-0 to the Timbers in the 27th minute. It's Totland. One touch to Toykert. Toykert in for Ustrak. Ustrak, Vollum, shaded near side, 30 yards from goal.
Lots of bodies in the box for St. Louis, 4 to be exact. And they get a service in, though. Here's Teukert, does enough to keep it away from João Ortiz, leaves it for Klaus, popped over the top for Teukert. Crépeau comes off his line, pokes it away. It's going to run across the end line. Is it a goal kick? St. Louis complaining for a penalty kick. Tough from our angle to see if Crépeau got anything on the ball. It was a nice chip from Klaus and a mishit pass by Teukert, mishit shot by Teukert, who actually missed it with his left foot, and then it bounced off of his leg and rolled out for a Timbers goal kick. Or are they going to say a corner kick? Looks like they're going to say it went out off Crépeau for a corner kick. So first corner kick of the evening for St. Louis.
And St. Louis City just arguing that Max Crépeau doesn't get any of the ball here. Referee certainly says he's got something. For a moment there, I thought St. Louis City, they needed to serve that ball in. Teukert does well to get in front of Ortiz. Turn and play that ball into João Klaus with that fancy little chip over the line of the Timbers.
Here's a right-footed in-swinger coming towards the top of the 6, headed away by Portland. Moreno will carry it out of the box. Tries to get by, can't not do so. Timbers are going to end up getting the ball, try to get it forward. Kelsey then has it poked away. St. Louis keeps the pressure on edge of the attacking third. Here's Ustrak. Lays it off for Ballum. Ballum, Klaus kind of a light touch. And Sermon will clear it out into the St. Louis technical area for a St. Louis throw-in in front of interim manager David Critchley.
St. Louis City certainly just trying to find any way through Portland they can.
Here's Hartel, does well to get a foot to that. Force Finn Sermon to play it out for another corner kick as Hartel applauds the fans and will carry the ball over to the near corner flag to hit a left-footed in-swinger. Lewis, 9 goals from set pieces this season, looking to enter double digits on this one, which would level the tally. This will actually be the right foot of Hartel. It'll be an outswinger.
I mentioned they got 2 last week against RSL. A lot of big bodies in there.
There's Hartel's service on the ground. Picked out a player, was ended up being blocked by Zuperich. Collected by Pompeu, who will serve it back in. Yara wins the header, but back away from goal. And the Timbers will try and get out. João Ortiz's pass blocked. Ortiz does well to make sure that St. Louis can't get it back, and then just sends it long over midfield as Teukert, who was the player who took that shot, looks a little worse for the wear at the moment as he's grabbing at that left ankle.
I couldn't see who Teukert actually hit, but it was a really well executed set piece. Just put that one on the ground for Teukert to run onto in front of everybody on the back line. He just couldn't slip it through. João Ortiz does the right thing here, though, and just clearing the lines. Timbers were trying the last few times to dribble out and keep possession. Ended up turning it over to St. Louis City. Sometimes you just have to clear that ball and push upfield.
This time the Timbers do very well to work it away from the St. Louis defense and get it into the attacking third. Their first moments back in the attacking third since David DaCosta's goal in the 19th minute. Mosquera in for Moreno. Moreno lays it off to Ashala, who will then curl it towards midfield to Kamal Miller. Ortiz has some struggles controlling it. Goes back to Finn Sermon, who will go all the way back to Maxime Crépeau. Sends it long across midfield. Forey and Totlin rise. Totlin wins the header. Second ball brought down by the chest of Ustrak. And now a foul is going to be called back for St. Louis. Right at midfield.
St. Louis City have done well to work themselves back in this game. Timbers had moments of possession, but haven't been able to get anything behind St. Louis City. We talked about how they were going to react to get the first goal. Portland have to show more motivation to try and get a second. And this 1 goal deficit, or the 1 goal differences, the longer that goes on, that just gives St. Louis City more life, more momentum, more motivation. Timbers will want to get back on it and start to try and ping things in between these lines again.
St. Louis still with about 2/3 of the possession, but a nice poke away from Ashala here to earn the ball back for Portland. Almost, in a sense, like to see them settle things down a little bit. as kind of a mishit ball from Mosquera ends up getting to Ashala. Ortiz, 50 yards from goal, sends it out wide near side for Forey. Timbers will play a bit of possession here as Ashala tracked by Hartel. Square pass for Zuprich. Zuprich bringing it into the middle. Finds Kelsey. Kelsey does well to shield. Keeps it away from Moostrak. Finally gets it out from his feet to Ashala. And now Ashala hits it first time to Moreno in the center circle. He can't control it. St. Louis back on it.
Yeah, at the moment, Fletcher, Timbers doing well to settle things down and move it a bit, but then there's no runs off the ball after that. You can see St. Louis City starting to pin them in, putting a lot of pressure on players. And there aren't a lot of outlets except for to go backwards. Portland just have to pick it up a little bit, move the ball quicker going forward. Try and push the St. Louis City defense back a little bit.
Lewis with it in the middle third at the moment. They've responded well after giving up the goal to David DaCosta in the 19th minute. 1-0 Portland. We're approaching 10 minutes before halftime. Ashala once again in there breaking things up. Kelsey finally gets the ball out of his feet to Moreno, who quickly lays it off to Ortiz. He'll go back to Moreno. Timbers still in their own half, though. Now Zuprich. With center back partner Finn Sermon in for Ashala. Go back for Zuprich, and the Timbers still working back towards their own goal. And finally, the pressure laying off from St. Louis at the moment will be picked up here by Pompeu as they play it out to Moreno. Timbers have not had very much of the ball, and that can get pretty tiring the longer you go through a half. A turnover from Kamal Miller, who did not control the initial pass. In for Klaus. Klaus tries to get it to Hartel. Ashala sticks his body in there, pokes it away momentarily, where it's picked up by Vollum about 50 yards from goal. Another wave coming from St. Louis. Here's Ustrak. Ustrak out wide for Totland. Now back to Vollum. Vollum will pick up his head, serve a ball in. It goes off the head of Ashala, who immediately goes down. And the training staff will have to come out to look at Ashala, as Ashala was not expecting to take that one from about 10 yards away. Ball will come over and apologize. It's just kind of one of those awkward moments where the ball went directly and hit Ashala in the right temple. So Paul Lombardo will come out to take a look at Ashala, who will sit down on his rear, and we'll get an opportunity to kind of take a little bit of a breath in this match, with the Timbers leading 1-0 thanks to a David DaCosta goal in the 19th minute. Otherwise, been a lot of City SC on the ball so far in this one.
Man, for Timbers, just going forward again, going back to my point, you see Portland when they get on the ball and moving it around in the midfield, there isn't any activity in front of them, so they're forced to go back a little bit further. They've given up the ball a couple of times in dangerous areas. I think for a Timbers perspective, just to talking about David Ashala, hopefully he's okay. He's had, I think, 4 interceptions in a row, breaking play up. It's been really solid. Timbers will just need a little bit more from their front line, though, trying to get that second goal. St. Louis City had some moments. They've had some dangerous crosses. Click-on header from João Klaus. Toiker didn't make the run, but they're trying to figure it out. And again, João Klaus has dropped off away from the line to try and start the attack. I think this is an interesting thing here for a big man, the big center striker, to be doing. You don't see this a lot from the big number 9.
Ball lifted over the top, looking for Toikert. Toikert heads along. Timbers able to clear it out for a St. Louis throw-in from the near touch line, about 30 yards from the end line. Quickly in for Vollum. Vollum will serve in. Kind of a floated ball looking back post. Mosquera wins the header easily. Moreno then plays it to Kelsey. Kelsey, though, heavy touch, loses out. Here comes St. Louis again. Pompeu, corner of the 18. He's defended by Zuprich. Gets around Zuprich. Plays it in towards a penalty spot. All the way through to Totland. Totland, chance to shoot. Feigns it a couple times. Leaves it out wide for Toikert. Toikert works his way around 4. He's still with it is Toikert. Toikert's shot saved by Crépeau.
2 good moments there. Pompey's ball across. Totland probably should have taken that one first time. Doesn't. Ball ends up at the feet of Toikert. Does well to drive through the Timbers. Nobody wants to stick a foot in because he's inside the box. In the end, his effort straight at Crépeau. Crépeau does well to hang on to that. Timbers just looking a little against the run of play at the moment. And it's about the mentality of wanting to stretch the game, try and take the light out of St. Louis City. At the moment, Portland are just a little bit back, reeling.
Yeah, I haven't called David DaCosta's name really since he scored the goal. I think there was one moment where he got forward and had the ball at his feet, but beyond that, it's been very quiet from him specifically since the goal.
And it's really almost as if St. Louis City are playing with a back three. Thomas Totland is really high up that line, that right back. Ostrak's in the middle, kind of filling in for him. But that's the space David DaCosta could occupy. Timbers win it back and can go quickly.
A lot of Timbers bodies in tight spaces at the moment. Need to stretch things out here a little bit, as Portland do have it back in the 39th minute now, leading 1-0. Shala back on the field, ball at his feet. Appears to be okay. Serving forward for DaCosta, quickly back to Zubrich inside the top of his own half circle. Zubrich now out wide for Mosquera. Mosquera finds Moreno. Moreno rolls it back for Mosquera, who had checked his run, allowing Pompeu to easily, make that Orozco easily, to come back and play it back to Berkey. So the Timbers definitely just not quite on the same page in moments here in this first half. Not certainly quite like they were against New England Revolution last Saturday.
Moreno, I think, wanted to shake Orozco, also fooled Mosquera as if he was going to go back inside, so he stopped making his run. Yeah, it's for the moment. Timbers have just off the mark a little bit. They can get back in it by quick passing, quick movement, and it doesn't have to be 100 miles an hour, but you have to have somebody providing an option when they are building out, when they need something, just to pull St. Louis City away.
There's Pompeu's service in. Ashala reads it well, heads away. Zubrich was in an advanced position when that ball got turned over, so Ashala had to fill in at that right center back spot in the back three. Now here's a shot coming from distance, saved by Crépeau from outside the box. Crépeau diving to his left, was able to keep that shot from Ostrak out. Dangerous look there from the Czech midfielder.
Two things here. Ostrak does well turning. Nobody's able to get tied to him.
Here's Forey. Line-breaking pass after he got by one to get it to Kelsey. Kelsey will lay it off for DaCosta, 35 yards from goal. Now to Ashala. Ashala, loose touch, able to get back on it. Yeah, Timbers going backwards, though. Zubrich able to control a pass from Ashala. And now DaCosta with it on the near touchline. It's defended by Totland. DaCosta dribbling at the defense. Will use Forey forward. Forey will send it back across. Finds DaCosta. DaCosta's shot nearly gets by Berkey. He gets enough on it to have it roll across the goal line. And then it's cleared away by St. Louis. DaCosta nearly with a brace on great distribution back from Forey. Berkey got his left hand on it, bounced down off of his left leg, and stayed out of goal.
And the Timbers breaking this initial pressure from Dario Zubrich. Just dribbles into the middle of the field, releases Jimmer Forey, a little combination between him and David DaCosta. He gets in. You can see Kevin Kelsey, he wanted that ball cut back to him. No problem, though. David DaCosta had a good angle. It's a great save from Berkey. Just like on the other end, Max Crépeau doing well to settle that shot from Ostrak. Berkey does enough. Kelsey was so close if he just kept his run going. He was hoping for that cutback pass.
Nice ball down the line for Moreno. Moreno will run onto it, defended by Yarrow. It's a battle Moreno should win. Moreno plays it across for Ortiz. Ortiz got a touch to it, but then great defensive tracking by Ostrak. And he's able to play it out to touch on the near side of the field. Otherwise, Ortiz would have been able to get a shot off. Timbers got into the attacking third very quickly there. Here they are in it again. Forey, defended by Totland, in for DaCosta, corner of the 18. He'll go central for João Ortiz. Ortiz will shoot. Blocked before it could get inside the box. Been Sermon able to control. Timbers keeping pressure high. Here's Ashala out wide for Mosquera. First time in for Moreno. Moreno wasn't expecting it. And St. Louis earned back possession. Inside the final 3 minutes plus stoppage time before halftime, with the Timbers leading 1-0 thanks to David DaCosta's tally, his fourth goal of the season and second in consecutive matches. Quick throw in. I think the Timbers were expecting a whistle there from Ricardo Montero Araya. Instead, quickly thrown in by St. Louis. Here's Hartel, leaves it for Ustrak. Ustrak 30 yards from goal. Xiao Klaus turns, gets it out wide near side to Totlin. Totlin's first time service in, finds Ustrak near the penalty spot. Can't do enough to control it. Shot comes directly at Crepeau again, who dives down and collects. That one came from Volum. Had a little bit more pace to it, but again, right at Crepeau.
St. Louis City certainly creating dangerous chances for themselves. Just seems they're not able to get the ball out from under their feet. It's been the only difference. When they do get something off, it doesn't have enough power, and it's straight at Max Crepeau. How about that from Kelsey?
It's the header in front, or sandwiched between two St. Louis defenders to keep possession for Portland.
That's some of that height difference we talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. 6'4", going up against 6'1" Girdwood Wright. Mosquera's ball in for DaCosta. Oh, Moreno. Heavy touch, kind of bounced off his other leg and gave up possession. Minute and a half plus stoppage time here remaining at the end of the first half. Timbers leading 1-0. Would love to hold this lead going into the break. Possession evening out, about 56-44 in favor of St. Louis. City SC out shooting the Timbers 8-4, but the Timbers have the lead on the scoreboard. There's Hartel with it, dribbling central from the far touchline. Out of Volum. Volum lays it off for Pompeu. Pompeu very wide. In for Hartel. Hartel still with it. Plays it down the line for Volum. And Volum is in an offside position as that ball was played.